Hey, it's Kristina Shea, and welcome to the Kristina Shea Show. AI meets ambition and impact, powered by Women Up. Let's talk about the future of work, leadership, and society itself, because AI isn't just changing tools, it's changing power. So the question is, are you leading it or watching it happen? And if this sparks something in you, lean in. You're part of the conversation now. Welcome to the Kristina Shea Show, where AI meets ambition and impact, powered by Women Up. I'm your host, Kristina Shea. So what shapes a leader? That's the question today. Is it where they come from, the values they inherit, or the choices they make when they're called to serve? Today's guest has built her career around answering those exact questions. Raised in a working class family in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Lisa Kearns learned early the values of hard work, resilience, and community. She worked throughout high school and university, becoming the first in her family to earn a university degree. Before entering public service, Lisa built a successful executive career spanning healthcare, manufacturing, advertising, and strategic procurement. Today, she serves as Burlington's Ward 2 and Halton Regional Councillor, Deputy Mayor for Community Engagement and Partnerships. Wow, a lot of mouthful there. And she also holds the prestigious ICDD designation from the Institute of Corporate Directors. A lot of titles. Canada's leading credential in governance and board leadership. It's a very prestigious organization, which I myself am pursuing. So now Lisa is pursuing the next chapter of her leadership journey as she seeks to serve Burlington as its next mayor. But today's conversation isn't about politics, it's about leadership. We'll explore the experiences that have shaped her, what she's learned leading in both the private and public sectors, and why more women need to help shape the future of business, technology, society, and politics, and what leadership looks like in an age of AI, innovation, and rapid change. Lisa, welcome to the Kristina Shea Show.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. It's the middle of summer. We've been a little bit hot and bothered here, at least I have, but now I'm ready to relax and have a really great conversation with you about leadership. And, it's so exciting to have women in leadership, and we're not going to talk politics per se, but it's really exciting to see two women running for a leadership position in our community. But what I really want to do is talk about really the person behind Lisa Kearns and your story. Because leadership, like you have all those titles. I stumbled on some words. There's probably some outtakes that we could probably play later. But you have so many titles and accreditations and so many accomplishments. But before those titles, before you received any of these acknowledgments or awards, in that sense, there's a leader that's been shaped probably in childhood. So I always like to hear the story of what maybe shaped you. So my question to you is, when you think back to your childhood, growing up in Hamilton, what do you think shaped you more, the circumstances in the environment or the people that surrounded you?
I think in that regard, it's always a little bit of both, right? And especially embarking on this next kind of big chapter, it's been a really opportune time to reflect back and think about these questions in a personal capacity, as well as, having the opportunity to share it a little bit more professionally in this forum. When we think about the people who helped shape us, I had so many incredible leaders to look up to, and I think they just were fortunately put in my path, and many of them are still people who are dear to me today. In fact, in the last election, 2022, they all collided in Ward 2. I had a deacon, I had an executive of one of our big corporations, I had a former, director of procurement from industry, from Stelco, who just lives up the street now, in fact, helped me canvass last night. So I've kept these people who were incredible leaders very close to me through the whole process. In fact, one of my other people that I reported to in out of home in advertising is checking over my agreements to see if my out of home kind of campaign piece is going to work for me and give me any insights there too. So these people have not just been leaders of the moment, but they've been leaders for life. And I think that that's one of the things that are a hallmark of an incredible leader. And they've inspired me to do the same thing for those coming up behind me, right? It's always about that give back. And when I think about what that looks like, we are sometimes clouded by these roles and these titles and accolades. And I frequently just shelve them and live in a perpetual state of imposter syndrome. So that's really healthy for my ego. And, when I think back, some of the ones that I'm most proud of is my student interns, all of who have gone on to incredible milestones in their own lives through education, through community outreach, and some of them are getting into programs that they once thought were out of reach, and have encouraged them and kept them close and empowered to say, no, don't let anything stop you. Keep going, keep going. Look for those leaders that you want to aspire to, and just ask to become closer to them. And 9 times out of 10, they'll probably say yes, because I think we need to break down this sort of pedestal kind of thing where we put people out of reach of our own aspirations or our own ambitions, or what we have inside of us that just needs somebody to say, yeah, there's something special there. How can I help get that out for you to realize it in a way that works for you?
That's an amazing answer. I think that's also so important. I know imposter syndrome, you mentioned that. I think you're very accomplished, obviously, but I think it's also good for us to sometimes check ourselves and realize that, there was a lot of people that led up to where we are now today, especially as a leader, as yourself in the community, but also being accessible for others,
Mm-hmm.
not only within the community itself, but also for other individuals that decide to choose maybe leadership in some capacity, whether it is public office or it could be even just entrepreneurship or something to do within their community. And
Yeah.
I think that is the accessibility that, every leader started somewhere, right?
Right.
And I think that's the lesson to be learned there. I also was just curious too, because about your family, because I think it always does start somewhat with family. And I did do a little research, because I always research everybody that I speak to, and I learned a lot about you. But your father worked in the steel industry in Hamilton, and your mother actually worked at Canada Post.
Yep.
So looking back today, like what do you feel your parents sort of influenced you in the way that you lead today?
So it was an interesting household because it was very working class. Both were very heavily unionized positions, right? Stelco 1005 is still pretty big even today, and all my Labor Days were marked by a Labor Day parade. So I learned about that labor movement very early, and maybe that's part of what inspired me to go into politics, is that kind of change for the people. And then my mom's side, hearing what it was like to kind of work in Canada Post, which was a huge organization, of course, Canada wide, would have been our first understanding as, kind of growing up through the school system, of the idea that there's companies out there that are across our whole entire country. So, that optimism met with that sort of rights and putting employees first kind of piece did definitely shape some of that bigger perspective that I had as, growing up without a ton of opportunity. We didn't have any extra special, super rich uncles that were going to give us a corporate job. So I remember when I started, well, the reason I went to university, I applied to Western, I got accepted to all my universities, which was great. Back in the day, we used to get letters in our mailboxes.
Yes, I remember that.
Apparently that doesn't happen anymore. So getting those letters was kind of the first moment where I thought, okay, maybe I can do something a little bit more. And that's when I went away to school and started getting exposed to all kinds of new people that also had their own life experiences, right? And really, when you go to university, you're still just a kid. Like we met,
absolutely.
You're just a kid. We met the people there who we had never met, from different religions, different backgrounds, first time meeting international people, because you're coming out of your bubble. And whether you go into trades, you go into industry, you go into college, university, you move away, you stay home, I feel like that post-secondary chapter is a pivotal point for lots of young kids, which is why I have a youth council already started as part of my mayor's campaign to help provide those opportunities to just learn a little bit more, or get involved or see something different as they're kind of going into those next chapters. But what stayed with me was always that humility of being working class and just not ever getting too big of a head, because one of the realities of being working class is that everything can be gone in a second. A line could close, a shift would shut, and that was really kind of that tension growing up, was always that sort of resourcefulness piece. And so, never taking anything for granted was really definitely a clear ingrainment in every career. And that's why I was always kind of overshooting or overdoing it or taking the extra shift or saying yes to an extra job or an extra task, is because you always wanted to kind of set yourself outside of everybody else in case of that time when, constraint would come, a recession would come, a downturn would come, layoffs would come, unions would, be fighting. So, always kind of having that element of sort of like low grade anxiety or fear that things could be taken from you. And then coupling that up with the fact that the only thing never that can be taken from you is education
Yes.
and skills. Those can never be taken away from you. So opportunities and roles can, titles can, accolades can, but no one can ever take away your skills and your education. And that's why those became so important to me. You don't realize it until you reflect back. You just kind of go through. But it's that reflection piece that lets you learn those good lessons.
I can't agree more. Education is key. I was brought up in a house too that, I was self-sufficient. I put myself through university and school and college, and I had a lot of different, even bought my first Mac. So that was like, back then, that was like, probably the cost of a car.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is hard. And, I worked 3 jobs on night shift, and I understand all of that. And then getting up in the morning and working at a jewelry store, like it was kind of crazy. But I look back, it did help frame, the resourcefulness. And I think that's what's so key for a leader too, like yourself, is that, as you said, titles come and go. And a lot of people, they get comfortable and complacent and they have a title, whether it's a VP this or a political figure. Yes, they're not necessarily forever. It's really the values that you and the skills that you have as a person, as an individual, which I think is really key for leadership itself, because reinvention is one of the things that I think that I've learned throughout my life, through a lot of different, journeys. So I applaud for what you've done, because I think a true leader needs to actually have experienced those life lessons, I think, to really understand not only their constituency or the people that look up to them, but also just to be able to be resourceful as a leader to find solutions for their community.
Yeah, and you never know when solutions are going to come forward, right? When we were having the big issues with coyotes in 2022 and staff were out of whistles, and I just boldly, I can't even believe I did this. I just called up Ron Foxcroft and I said, "Hi, my name is Lisa and I need some whistles and it's the weekend. Do you have any?" And, he was generous enough to help facilitate that. And I was able to bring them straight to our Central Park and give them to families who were feeling some anxiety around that issue at the time. And, it does give you that resourcefulness where you're just trying to figure out solutions, right? Because when we started working, there weren't always manuals that were perfect, and it was just kind of you get the job done. And that's another reason why it's so important to me that we really work on bolstering our local economy, because making room for jobs for those young kids, and so people who are also making shifts in their career or shifts in kind of their interests, like mine, it's all over the place, right? It's so transferable, is to give them those opportunities, because they do so much. They give you like the experience of working with other people and connections. They give you opportunities to be resourceful, creative, and, empower yourself to feel valued. And that's why we have to make sure that we're keeping them right here in Burlington.
I can't agree more. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things right now for Burlington, Ontario, Canada as a whole, is retaining talent, training talent, and keeping our talent here. We invest with, the universities are subsidized to some degree. I mean, they still have a price tag to them. But really, we have such great, citizens here. Let's look after the people here. And, obviously we have lots of great talent that you can come in as well. We're, a country that's made up of various cultures, diversity, et cetera, and talent. But we have so many young people that are eager and hungry to learn. And we also have, adults. We're going to talk about AI later, but really the upskilling and the necessity for that as well, because we have great talent that have the soft skills, that have leadership qualities, and just a domain expertise that really can be leveraged. And we just need, employers and also the country as a whole. But I'm not going to go too deep into AI, because I still, I want to share more about your story, because the leadership, that is one of the most, I think, transferable skills, and it comes from years of experience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the values, but I mean, you sort of talked about it, but has your definition of leadership changed throughout your career?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I would say one of my biggest reflections in leadership was when I was working in my last role before coming into public service was at Life Labs, and I, had kind of moved on, and we were on to like our second child. I was coming off of a mat leave early. The first one, I wouldn't come back because it was summertime in downtown and I had a brand new baby. So I didn't go back to work for an extra month. And then the second one, I came back an extra couple of months because we had just acquired for $1.4 billion the next biggest competitor, which was CML. And so bringing the two teams together from a procurement lens nationally by integrating the different systems, the softwares, the platforms, the consumables, the contracts, the teams. That was a really big leadership jump to go into very successfully, coming right off of a maternity leave. And that was kind of my last big sort of test to see, am I making this big leap from looking up to people and learning from them and taking their qualities and internalizing them and modeling how they are treating me so that I can play that forward when I get to the right point in my career, that I'm making sure that I'm, again, setting the next kind of folks behind me up for success. And so I cherished that experience deeply, and especially the team, even though the role was really to kind of harmonize, which comes with some attrition. But that was a great experience, and we did it really successfully. And then I went back to my kind of strat sourcing role, finished off my last big contract, and then was still an elected official for 3 months. We have this really weird like waiting period before we kind of come in. So I finished off my last bits, and then I came in as a leader in our community. And so that transition was kind of peak readiness for taking on my last really big challenge, and really seeing that from two sides, seeing it from the people side and seeing it from the business of the organization, which was publicly held, and then it was becoming more privately held, and merging those two things together. So it was a huge project organization wide. And yeah, just to kind of bring those last two things and really make sure that you're able to think about the people in these roles. So all the roles that I kind of had, they each were marked by these sort of black swan events. So like when I was at Stelco in industry, we had CCAA, which was bankruptcy protection in the kind of very early days. And so at that point, I was looking up to leaders and then also being a portfolio leader, trying to negotiate with under court order. So that definitely honed my negotiating skills faster than anything you could imagine. Then, yeah,
yes,
there's nothing quite like that. And then when I was in out of home and in advertising and creative, my role there was in government relations and new business development. So that was at the peak of the 2008 crash, and with the U.S. parent company, they felt it a lot harder than Canada felt it. And so with that, I had to hone in those leadership skills and get my team motivated in dark economic times, much like today, to both push down our expenses by 5% and then open up new revenue generating opportunities through that new business side by another 5. So a 10% net to EBITDA was what we were able to achieve in really hard economic times. And then going into leaving out of home and coming back into healthcare, because I still felt that hollowness of saying like I need to be back into something that's more fulfilling, that our tagline was building a healthier Canada, and we really felt that with our core values of being there for patients and patient excellence, and then doing that integration and that constant driving down of total costs so that more could be delivered into our Canadian healthcare system was kind of the last full challenge. And then here I am in community service.
Wow, that is such you have such a plethora of experiences across sectors, which I find really interesting, especially for someone who's running for office. I think it's totally beneficial, like from healthcare to totally strategic business and dealing with very financial issues at hand, and being able to learn to negotiate, and also for healthcare, for example, being able to really put the patient first and think about that, yet meanwhile still being reflective and upon what those cuts will maybe
Of course.
cost in terms of also maybe employee and staff that are also indirectly related to those outcomes. But I think that's like just a great journey. And so I guess I'm really curious then, so from all of that, what really prompted, like, was there one single moment you're saying, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to, run for council
For council.
or for office in general?
So
Well, I know but you're running for office now. Two different things.
two
Yeah.
different
Yes.
sort of launch pads there. So the one for community was that I think a hallmark of my leadership is just taking things that are complicated, making them very simple to understand, making sure everybody has the same base level of understanding so we can have a conversation kind of coming off the same level, and then clearly identifying, where is there opportunity here, whose role would that be, and what would the outcomes potentially be. And we did that a lot. So my last role corporately was very heavy into like Center of Excellence, Lean Sigma, that type of a thing. So everything was process improvement and very scripted in the way that work was conducted. So that's a little bit different than municipal. So
yes, absolutely.
A lot different than municipal. So those sort of roles really taught me about the structure of work. And that was really helpful because when I came into community, I was doing that in a volunteer capacity, just saying, we're seeing some changes in a way that aren't really reflective of what the community's values are. The city is speaking to us in these like city words that nobody understands. So because I'm very good at taking technical documents, especially in tendering RFPs, learning, science based things and metallurgy and out of home vinyl, large format, etc. We rewrote the 2008 Toronto bylaw, so I learned all about the mechanics of out of home. So to take those technical pieces and quickly translate them into what's meaningful is an innate skill that I've been able to hone over those different roles. And so when I was taking the city's pieces of technical information, turning them into digestible information bites, which is again probably where AI is going, is taking them into those digestible bites and then clearly putting them into a framework of where action and results can happen. The community kind of had a little flashlight moment and was like, oh, this is what we need. And so then we started a community group, raised some money, made some changes, delegated, delivered options to the council of the time around amendments and changes. And I read a lot for sure. So I can read like humongous agendas or humongous bylaws or binders within minutes and retain a lot of it, if not all of it. So I even found like some little typos or you name it, like through
I'm like
through
that
a
too.
400-page document. And then the community was saying, there was a vacancy at that time. And they were saying, well, you are the kind of leader that we want to see in Ward 2, in our beloved heart of the downtown. And, what would you consider it? And I did give a lot of pushback saying, I'm so happy. I love my team. This is a fulfilling career for me. And then, it got a little bit louder and a little bit louder, very similar to this mayoral run. People just kind of kept shoring up behind me with their talents, their treasures, their time. And they were saying, I think there's something here. We want to see it through. And so 2018 was a very must-watch election. There were 6, if not almost 7 contenders for the role. And I came out, successfully, which I'm grateful for. And then this time the same thing happened. I said, I'm done after 2 terms. I'm going to step away and see what the next door is for me. And the community came again so strongly and behind me with some great momentum and said, we want to see you take the next leap. So they're there and now I'm here.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. So it really was like you had all these qualities and you were thinking originally, like, oh, I'm happy in my role, but it was really the community and the feedback that were encouraging you to push forward. And yet again, here we are. So I think that's an amazing testament to what you've done for the community and how the community feels about you. So I think that's kudos. And I think sometimes that's what we need is that push. Because, sometimes we think, okay, I'm going to do something else. And that's a hard decision. But I think especially in the first one, the second one, I think, you're well set with people behind you. I think that's the biggest thing for leadership is you can see that you have that impact, right? Obviously, you've
Yeah.
had impact, or else you wouldn't have that sentiment. So
Well, I firmly believe that this mayoral run will be an election based on leadership because everything else is almost imperceptibly the same. So, and we're seeing the same conversations on every municipality. The issues are the same, the
mhm.
relationships are the same with the province. We're going to see that, rinse and repeat a little bit as the conversation grows closer to the election date. That's why I think this will be firmly anchored in the type of leader the city wants to see going forward.
Well, I can't agree more. So I'm excited to see what happens. And I'm going to segue into women in particular.
Thank you. I was hoping you would on this one.
Yes. Well, it's powered by Women Up. So that's the sponsor, which
Yes.
is my initiative, yes, which is all about really elevating women to have confidence in executive, whether it's entrepreneurial or building, their upskilling in their career, but also leading with AI, which we're going to talk about later, but
Yes.
really having women at the board. At the table, I call it the big table.
Yes.
So where the women can really be having a voice and help drive the future of whatever the business is in terms of local, but it could be national, it can be global. And I think this is such an important time, especially because of AI, that women need to have that voice because it's going to drive the economy. And in general, it's been proven so in so many different studies that having a diverse voice, improves, I would say, success, but also even financial, especially for women CEOs. I know
Yeah.
that's not your role, but in terms of a mayor, for example, that does drive the economy as well. But we're going to go into that. And just in general, just a general question, what has your experience been as a woman in leadership? Have you had challenges because you felt that, because of just being a woman, or was it maybe own insecurities, imposter syndrome, so to speak? Or what was your experience like in your climb and your journey as a woman in leadership?
To be totally honest, I wish I had more to give you in this conversation, but I have, like I started off with, I've been blessed with excellent leaders of both genders um, that have just looked at the whole entire team and pulled out all their best qualities. So I haven't directly felt that isolation due to gender. I definitely recognize that it's there. I've seen changes on the number of boards that I sit on becoming closer to parity. And, some were very important to me, like sitting on Joe Brant Hospital, our local
Yes.
hospital board for 4 years term, and currently on the Halton Police Board are two that I'm, very engaged with. And especially the first one being on the hospital board allowed me to bridge my sort of healthcare experience with this new sort of chapter in public service. So that was important to me. And that had incredible female leaders, in executive roles and had their voices heard at the table. Which was important because we were also especially going through COVID at the time,
Mm-hmm.
at the forefront being the hospital. And then on the police board, we're seeing even more women around the table. I think we've got at least half or seven. So our vice chair is a female. I'm a female. Councillor Ali is a female. We had an appointment that was a female also. So we're seeing that improved diversity around the table, which is really important. And it's also important not just in gender, but also in
Mm-hmm.
cultures and backgrounds. And we are seeing those changes, which are more reflective of our Canadian landscape. So that's important. But again, I just feel like the only time I've ever had issues with leadership has sometimes been with females on female, which is the opposite of what we should be doing. So there's something that's kind of like there's some wires loose somewhere around how we need to kind of fix that. But maybe there's like a sensitivity there that maybe males are more worried about how they're perceived and they're a little more cautious. But I haven't had any issues with the male leaders that I've had. In fact, they've been the most empowering to give me new, like stretch my skills, take on some reach goals, expand teams, take on projects that were a little bit outside of my comfort level and encourage me. And, also be there when I've, maybe had some tears around Excel, but we're past that now. So thank you, AI. So we're past that.
I
So
hear you on that count. Yeah, I really love your take on that because there's so many great male advocates and allies, and that's what really we need. And for not only women, but especially women, but diverse cultural backgrounds as well. I think really Canada is a mosaic, as we we've always said, and we need to have boards and, you know, leadership organizations where they serve. Basically, they have to serve the reflection of who they serve. I'm not really wording that right, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean. So it's so important. But I also love your take on that because they stretch you. But also your comment, and I will speak to this because I've experienced the same thing. You know, I think women, unfortunately, just because there's been a scarcity or a perceived scarcity of roles in leadership, and for some reason, women decide to sometimes take each other down, and it's not conducive. We all rise together. That's the only way we do rise,
Yeah.
is if we're united. And I always have a theme that I always talk about with Women Up. If you're ever part of the circle that we're cultivating here, it's about collaboration, not competition.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no tolerance for any of that behavior, because as soon as you let one do that, then it starts to infect the whole culture, right? So it's so important for women to really unite and be on a united front, and that includes politics. I know sometimes that can be, you know, a challenging front for women right now in leadership. You know, just because there's been different. I know just from Elect Respect campaign, but it's not just women, as you said. It's also cultural backgrounds. It's diversity. I think we're all people at the end of the day, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we all have to come together. But Women Up is really much about raising women of all backgrounds, all diverse, like all cultural backgrounds, but also economic backgrounds as well.
Yeah. And
Uh,
one of the things that I've been doing is a fully open door to any female candidates or any candidate at all. I think I have about, 24 now, where I put an open call out to say, if you're thinking of running for public office, we will have a coffee. Ask me any questions. Ask me anything that you're interested in. What does a day look like? How do I balance things? Like, ask me your rawest questions. I will answer you honestly, so that you can prepare to be your best self or do your best work if you take on a role like that. So, some of the candidates are on the ballot right now. Some are in other cities. We've done it virtually, but I've made that commitment to, and also being very open and transparent with, like, behind the scenes of my campaign. I want the next mayor to see what it looks like to run for mayor. So there's this kind of closed curtain behind campaigns. Everybody holds them very tight. And
yeah.
"Oh, where did you see so and so canvassing? What do you think they're going to do next?" So we're putting it on blast, and we're letting everybody know what we're doing, where we are, what we've done, what's coming up. We had a huge event of 225 people within 20 days of announcing my candidacy, and told everybody what we're doing. And it was open invitation. Some other candidates came to see what it was like, from all different wards. And, we want to kind of open the doors on that, because success is not a guarantee, but the way that you conduct yourself is a guarantee. So we're opening up doors behind to say, you know what, I went to this thing and it was really different than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think I could pull something off like that. And we said, here's the volunteers. Look around. We needed 25. This is what it looks like. So we're helping to scale up what the next round of sort of candidates, the next round of people who are going to put their name forward to serve look like, and not keeping it closed. And I think that's one of the key things, right? Is like breaking down mystery and being really transparent so that people can make their own life choices fully informed.
That is like I love all of that, especially the accessibility for women or anyone, I guess, that really wants to learn more about what public
Yeah,
office looks like, and setting those sort of that expectations, but also so they can be prepared for success, right? And setting
yeah,
them up for success. I know, like, you know, as a younger woman, that would have been so valuable if
right.
I'd had someone that could mentor or at least help show me the way
Yeah,
that would lead to, you know, maybe the direction or at least a pathway where you can go in a roadmap. And then showing, I guess it's kind of also behind the curtain kind of thing. You're showing it, you're being transparent, you're being
yeah.
accessible. I think those are such key leadership qualities, but also, you know, as you said, setting up success for the future generation
Yeah,
of leaders. And I think that's so key for succession. And that's what a true leader does, is really
exactly.
enable succession and encourage others to take that leadership step.
Yeah, and to help share the skills learned in a campaign with the volunteers to take that to their next chapter, right? So even when we've only had one no at the door, and it wasn't our fault. It was a no in general with the world. But we managed to turn it around into an I'm listening. We shared that, we're closer together than we're further apart. And then when we were done with the volunteers, we kind of got to the next driveway or two and we took a pause and I said, listen, a lot of lessons just happened at that door. Let's take a minute and think about what they were. We let somebody feel heard in their own way. We thought about what solutions could look like together. We thought about making sure how they were still plugged into the city, even if it wasn't working for them at the moment. You turned a no into a yes, and you're going to take that with you when you're in retail, when you're in corporate, when you're in trades, when you're in anything. You're going to be able to take that skill to not freeze up, not clam up, not get defensive. You're going to be able to take that skill with you in wherever that you go. And I hope one day in years, those young volunteers that were with me that day will reflect back, and when they get a no, which can be scary for sure, and that's about that resiliency piece, right? So we don't need every single vote. We're not going to get every single vote, and people should never freely give you your vote. You should earn it. So we know that we should be expecting no's, because that's democracy. That's listening and thinking together about solutioning. So teaching those young kids, the youths on the youth council, how to handle a no is building in resiliency for the folks coming up behind us right there. Even if it's something simple like just being at the door talking about trees.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a great skill set that they're learning, right? Because the
Yeah.
world is not all about yeses. In fact, it's more often no's, but turning a no into a maybe, or maybe right away into a yes. I think that's really great. And I think,
Yeah.
especially young people, if they haven't been exposed to that, but that's a great lesson for them to take, as you said, into every single, journey that they may have, whether it's working in corporate, running a
Yeah.
business, or maybe running for office one day. And I think that's what we really have to protect also is uh, democracy right now in general as a whole, because the
Yeah.
world is becoming a very, a bit of a scary place in my opinion, at my perspective. But I also I believe so much in humanity and community. And when we come together like that and show that we're here to solve problems, and we only
Yeah.
can do that together.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me just see if I have anything else here on that point. But okay, actually, this to me is a question that I always, like the right time, like the right time. So, what advice would you give? And this is particularly directed for women, because we're moms, we raise children, we work, or paying off a student loan, or all these kind of things that might be going on in someone's life, or some
Yeah.
challenges of some kind, which there's always, right? So, what advice would you give to women, no matter what age they are, who are waiting for the right time to step into leadership?
There is no right time. There's no right time. So I will say the thing I'm most guilty of is that I haven't set a proper goal. So I haven't set or charted a course for my life yet. So everything that I've done, I just kind of floated into. So I kind of came out of school and I floated into work. And then I just through sort of one of my vendors, I floated into my next kind of national role. And from there, I was just sort of floated in and recruited into another thing. And then the headhunters came and I went to the next thing. And then the community came and I went into the next thing. And then the community came again and I'm going into the next thing. So there is no time, because I haven't even found my own time yet. I haven't once said, I want to be and I'm going to blank. So, I did my ICD.D as, something someone had taken me to, kind of an information night. And I said, sure, yeah, I could do that. No problem. If I'm on all these boards, I should probably become skilled in it. And that is a story of resiliency, because if you want to talk about imposter syndrome, I had 100% of a case where I was in a room with CEOs, top talent across Canada, incredible people in their own spaces, whether it was real estate or mining or tech or you name it. And I was this like little Ward 2 counselor, like complete joke on that
Well, you're certainly
platform.
no joke at all.
Oh my gosh. And then because we were paying for it,
Yeah.
we kept getting these like bills and I'm like, what am I even doing? And it's not cheap. And, but I loved the work. I loved the coursework. I liked the group. We were the first hybrid course, DEP 89 shout out. And, the morning we were kind of having a conversation about finances, and I was like, this is stupid. I don't belong here. What am I doing? I'm just going to pause this, keep the money in the bank. I'll pick it up again another time. And my husband said, like, you know what? You're like almost there. Just we'll figure it out. Just go. And that morning we were voting on who you wanted to select as the course representative, and their quote goes in the National Post and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And they had like voted me, and I was like, no, you guys are wrong. Like, I would pick anybody but me. So they had actually selected me as the valedictorian the same day, with some tears. I was ready to just package it up. So don't wait for kind of that moment to do whatever it is you're doing, because sometimes the moment is just going to grab you. So kind of stick with what you're doing. Try not to give up. Keep your eyes open for opportunity. And the funny thing is kind of the harder you work, the more opportunities will just come to you. So, and I guess it goes back to that original conversation of just sort of always overcompensating, always taking on the extra, always being open to learning, looking up to leaders and trying to see what qualities you like in them and kind of building them out. We did a lot of structured one-on-ones, managers once removed, career planning, project planning, secondments, stretch goals. I'm thankful for those things because they were hard to learn kind of going as a kid into like a young career, young professional, and now kind of as a mentor. But I liked that structure because it gave me tools to kind of bring back and use in my kind of being a counselor is a very loose role. There's no guidebook. There's no evaluation besides an election, so you don't get that immediate feedback. In fact, I sent out a employee survey on myself to my newsletter one year to say, how good am I doing? What do you like? What do you not like? Did I achieve my goals? So I actually sent out my own survey to any of my residents that got that and filled it out. Thank you. Because I was so used to working on a results-based goal setting type of a corporation, that to come into this floating municipal world was just so weird to me that I kind of tried to like anchor myself back into corporate by issuing my own job reviews. And
well, I think that's a leadership skill in itself. Like, it also marks like all your experience, and metrics are important. Measurability is important. And sometimes there's a qualitative and there's the quantitative. I'm a PMP as well, so
yeah,
I understand
yes,
and SMART goals and RACI and all that. But at the end of the day, it's, you have to know that you're doing a good job and you're having impact. And the only way to do that really is to you might see one person, they might say one thing or this thing, but at the end of the day, you really need to have a broad overview, and then you can see where the bottlenecks or the pain points are. And just the sentiment too, right? People believe in you. And we were talking also about, you were at this ICDD, like for DEP or DEP. I don't know how you say it. Yeah. So, like you didn't feel like you belonged, but you totally belonged. I mean, all of the things that you have done, they've compounded. And that's what I always say to people, they've compounded. So you've done the work, you've done the education, you've put in the hours, you put in the reps. It's just like going when you go to the gym, like you do yoga, I do yoga, but I mean, I'm not quite at a headstand. I don't think I'll ever be there, but I can do most of the moves. But when I first started, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And now I'm taking boxing and pickleball. So I'm all over the map. But yeah, when you first throw your punch, you're like, oh, that was not so good. But now you know how to throw the punches, but you also know how to bob and weave, and you know how to defend, and you know how to do offense and so on. But at the end of the day, it's really putting in the reps. And people think, opportunity just comes. No. Sometimes luck just falls in your lap, but in general, it's all the work that you put in behind the scenes that people don't see, or the tears, or 100%. The anxiety. Like I resonate with all of this. I'm a single mom too, so it's all the things that are going on that people don't see, and they just see the end result. But meanwhile, you have been building, working, and clearly deserve to be in the room with these people that were at DEP. And then to be chosen valedictorian and all that really just says it's a testament to that. Yeah. And
it was really special.
Yeah. And then I think that's when sometimes leadership, the right time, that's always a hard one. There is, as you said, no right time.
Yeah.
But when sometimes leadership, it's not necessarily forced upon you, but it's put there and you maybe didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And then you're taking a step back and think, okay, maybe I'll do it. And then you take another step and another step. So
I'd
yeah.
even change the word from like leadership to like contributionship, right?
Ah,
Like I
yeah.
see so many people in our compassionate care side of the community that fine, they might have the title of leader, but they're the ones that are every single day. And again, maybe this goes back to that resourcefulness or that scarcity mindset. They're the ones every day that are making the most with so little. And I would call it something different. And I totally forgot the word because I just made it up.
I love that.
What is the word again? I
With
forgot it. Your contributionship.
leadership.
Good.
Yes.
Yes. So there you go. So contributionship, because those are the people that are inspiring me today, not the people standing at podiums. I'm not impressed. Not the people on panels, not the people on podcasts. I'm getting the irony. Yes. And
Well,
it's
you have to
those
create
people.
the podcast too.
I'm
You have to
teasing you. I'm teasing. But it's those people that are doing that like quiet, hard work and are getting the most out of people and making them feel so valued. Like when I go to the community lunches and the community dinners, that is where I feel the most rewarded. When I see what people are doing, those are the leaders in our community that are really making a big difference to people's lives. And those are the people that I take my inspiration from, where I leave there and I think, and I sit in my car or whatever transit I'm using at that time, and I think like, take a second and take something with you from this, because there was something magical here.
There's always lessons learned. And I think for me, it's like giving voice to other people. That's
Agree.
exactly why I do this podcast. It's not about me. It's about elevating others and sharing their message and their voice. And, and then also the thing is, sometimes we think we can't or not ready or whatever it is. Like even this, like this was a big thing out of my comfort zone, even to create this,
100%.
right? And then I was like,
It's
what?
big for me to come. I had to like pep talk myself. I'm like, you can do podcasts.
Of course you can.
So yeah, I look up to your contributionship.
Oh, well, thank you. I love that term because that is really to me, that is what a leader is. You contribute,
Yes.
you participate. And we'll talk about AI, but in terms of governance, for example, which we'll segue later, but it's really about participatory,
Yeah.
contributions, because, you can, as you said, have a microphone in front of you. You could be at a podium, you could be getting those accolades, but it's really the contributions that you make or the people
Yeah.
that are also doing them with you. It's not one person, it's really a community. But if you're not contributing in those small, I think the small actions are sometimes overlooked, like just having even just a
Yeah.
real on conversation with someone who's having a hard time and making that small difference in their day. And, from personal life experience, you sometimes don't know how important that one interaction could be with somebody that could
100%.
change a life, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that in every moment people have the opportunity. I know leaders, everybody can be a leader. They can be a leader in your own life, in your home, as a mom, as a parent, in your work. Even in your own house, like if you're cultivating a garden, you're like, there's so
I'm
many
the leader
things.
of the chores.
Yes. Now, I'm not so good at the housekeeping lately, but I'm trying. But yeah, there's so many ways you can be a leader. And sometimes you have to learn to lead yourself through
Yep.
dark times even.
It's true.
Yeah. So, so sometimes think, oh, a leader, like that's so, I think just what did you say? See, I couldn't even say
Contributorship.
Yeah, I couldn't even-
Contributorship. We'll have to wordsmith this one out.
so it's easy.
I have to
'Cause
shop this, but
yeah.
but the ethos and the sentiment is there, right? Because
Yes.
there's no book. I mean, there's zillions of books, which means there's no book on how to be a leader. If you were to pop it into AI, what would it say? It would say so many different things. That means so many different things with each person's experience, right? And we talked about those different experiences, whether it's being female, whether it's being marginalized, whether it's being a newcomer, whether it's being underskilled, needing to upskill, whatever it is, jumping industries. Like that, I think, is the big hallmark in my leadership journey, is that I plunked myself successfully into all these different, totally different industries. Somewhere being a female was so weird. Like, being a young girl in a steel factory with a big portfolio was, I look back on it and I think, what was I thinking? Like I used to wear pink high heels with like a pink cardigan and just go along on my day. But all my work was done. My contracts were excellent. My negotiations were balanced. So, I look back at that and I kind of have like a little bit of a laugh, but I never put that big title on me, right? Because I'd still go to the fax machine room and sort out the faxes. So, it's just kind of, maybe it's a word we need to kind of soften a little bit, because it might make people feel a little bit more included and start to beat down that imposter syndrome.
Exactly. I love the fact you were there in a steel factory in pink high
Yep.
heels.
With
Um,
bows.
I
Yep.
would say legally blonde, but legally brunette.
It
But
was
yeah.
a little. My best friend was blonde. Shout out to Karen. Yes, we were the blonde and the brunette that would like be dressed up.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story. And that's inspiring. It's just being yourself. And sometimes not even like when I was younger, I actually probably didn't really think about the glass ceiling or anything. And sometimes,
No.
later in life, you encounter those walls or whatever you want to call them. But I think it's just that resiliency and just going for it.
Yeah.
I say do it scared, do it anyway. Or sometimes just the question, why not me? Like, why not?
Well, at that time, I had no idea how corporations worked. So I just knew that I was in AP and my friend was in purchasing. And so I just went to the purchasing manager and was like, can I work upstairs with Karen? And they were like, what? That's not how it works. I was like, what do you mean? There's a desk right there. So, I mean, like, sometimes being naive is helpful.
Yes.
I mean, I'll give myself a pass. It was my first job. But yeah, that's sometimes you don't, when we say we want to like reach for these big goals, sometimes just being, I don't know, just being like your own authentic self can open up
Exactly.
a door that you never thought. Like, yeah, I wasn't scared to ask because I didn't know any better. I just thought that's how people get jobs. Like, how am I supposed to know?
I think that is actually, that's why I tell my daughter, actually, just be yourself. And I always say, if you don't ask, you shan't receive.
No.
So, and the worst they can say is no. And maybe it'll
Exactly.
turn into a yes.
Right. Or maybe no one knew that you were interested. Why would someone
Yes.
think somebody in this department wants to be in that department? Like, you have to create pathways too, or conversations or dialogue, or contributorship to let people know that they're interested, right? Like, that's that cross-functional team piece, or that's that kind of organizational corporate culture that lets you have those conversations to say, maybe today I'm here, but tomorrow I want to be over there. And when I was at Life Labs, I was not just in purchasing, but then I was doing work for the genetics lab, largest privately held in Canada. Then I was over in Alberta doing a naturopathy clinic. And I was like, I don't know anything about these things, but those core values and saying, I'm open to it, and opening up those doors is kind of just being that person who's always open to a new challenge. Kind of those challenges will be happy to find you.
I think that's such great advice, because careers aren't linear, right? And
No.
they can kind of weave all over the place. In fact, if you make it a linear path, sometimes you can get really disappointed when you don't see the opportunities that are surrounding you.
Or you can be an expert in your field. So the people who started and stuck are now the experts. So
Absolutely.
there's
Domain.
certainly a benefit there too, but you need to really love what that is.
Yeah, that's so true. But, I do think even within those domain experts, they sometimes obviously traverse within their domain, maybe what rules they are. But absolutely, I think, yeah, just being open to change and transformation, that's always a constant, right? Change is always going to be here, whether you like it or not. So that will segue well into AI.
Yes.
So AI, innovation, governance. I'm just going to really talk really high level, of course, but, AI is changing how we work and how we connect and how we lead. And so for me, it's like, rather than asking what AI can do for us, perhaps to me, the better question is, what do we want AI to help us become? So reframing it, I mean, I know there's all sides of AI, the fear, but also the just not knowing, overwhelm, etc. But so from your perspective, I know there's so much to weigh here. I'm very much into both the governance and, of course, the opportunities, but there is something to balance there, right? So when you think about AI as a leader, are you excited or concerned or both, and why?
So I think, like any new industry, it's a shifting perspective. So I was one of the first early adopters in council. I'll speak for council, not necessarily the city. That I had Jasper probably like 3.5 years ago, and that was new technology, and it was a good portion of my budget, but it was delivering the ROI on time, right? So I measured it that way, where more time with my constituents and not plunking out each and every word
Yes.
was helpful, or I was able to take information and synthesize it more efficiently. And then again, that innate natural skill of being able to take complex information and distill it down into manageable information that you can do something with was definitely a skill somewhat enhanced by AI by way of efficiency. So I was using it for that. My campaign, and we're trying to do it anti-AI at the moment because we're trying to show strength and authenticity and direct dialogue with the community, because I am seeing a ton of campaigns that are all, I don't know what those dashes are called. I just call them
the
AI.
M dashes.
I just call them AI dashes. So I'm seeing campaign literature with AI dashes. I'm seeing Facebook posts that are clearly AI. I'm seeing a lot of that. So I'm trying to carve out in this moment in time still my own authentic voice. Will we use it for some things? Sure, but generally we're not 100% AI reliant. But so as an early adopter, and then as someone who also went to a huge AI conference for Gartner a few years ago, maybe 2023, I really did see the benefits of unlocking the AI potential and coming out of the life sciences sector too, where at that time, like pharmacogenics was kind of like peak technology meets med-sci and things like that, and even with like courier routing, you were able to sort of use some digital modeling to kind of take down those greenhouse gases while still doing the routing and reducing your overall depreciation on your vehicle, stuff like that, right? So I was seeing early on in my last role and now, like some of those early pieces of those AI benefits. Now that's to be said, who's going to be the moral AI police, right? You can use it for medical and this, but you can't use it for graphics and Facebook memes. Like, even though I would love to be in a glitter jumpsuit at Christmas. So yes, there's an element, like everything in the world has two sides to it, right?
Exactly.
So I think what our challenge is as humanity right now is going to be putting the right frameworks in place to balance those pieces off, right? Because we still haven't yet seen the true consequence of incorrect AI information, whether it's, today I was linked to a different husband in the internet by,
oh my God.
Yes. So
that is insane.
Yes, a husband who I have no attraction to. So just in case anybody's worried, don't worry. But that could have a real impact if you were in a relationship that was not stable, right? The internet's saying you're married to this other person, like that's wacky. Or it's sending you on the wrong location and you've packed up your whole family to go to this community event and it's not there at all, right? So what's the consequence of that? Does that turn into a family fight? Or, you try to self-diagnose yourself medically and it puts you into a downward spiral of bad choices. So I do think that we, in a time when critical human thinking is on the slide, it's getting shored up by AI that doesn't have any governance around it, right? There's no proof tests. There's no anything. It's just, I'm liking that I'm starting to see source documents as options. But again, you can have your own self-source document where I could write, vote for Lisa for mayor. She's a supermodel. She's also right, and it will start coming up as a fact, right? It doesn't say I've had to compete, I've had to work on pageant answers. I can just say I'm a supermodel, right? So we do need to make sure that when we're using it, we are either like being mindful that we have to temper it with critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Source check multiple sources. Things can be very dangerous if someone has, a very personal thing happen to them that's public and you're sourcing like articles. There are bad actors in the internet too, right? And they need clicks. And so they're going to find whatever is du jour, whether it's a drama with FIFA players, and you're going to type that in and it's going to pull you over to whatever they want you to get their clicks or their phishing or their whatever. So, it is a little bit of a scarier place. So I'll just admit it like pretty boldly, I'm dumb when it comes to AI. You know how many cute animal videos I watch at night? And I call the kids over to be like, look at how cute this puppy is saving a baby. And they're like, that's
That's AI.
AI. I'm like, no, it's not.
Oh my
This
gosh.
puppy is saving the baby. This is beautiful. This is the bond. And they're like, no, that's AI. So I can't, I appreciate that, but I had no filter. I had no idea. Literally, I was like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. Look at
Meanwhile,
this dolphin saving fishes. Like, this is beautiful. And no, that's actually not real, apparently. Although
it would be nice if it was.
I really believed it. So yeah, we need to be really careful. We saw a
Absolutely.
lot of AI. We're seeing a lot of AI. I think I just saw somebody posting. I want to say it's the mayor of Coburg, perhaps saying, "Hey, I'm aware of AI videos circulating about me right now as part of this election, and now I have to make a public statement that this is not actually me." So
Yes.
that I am worried about is, what your digital reputation can look
Mm-hmm.
like if you don't have control over it whatsoever. And then, of course, I've seen the other side of AI through people who are now able to create music that's completely AI generated. People which is unlocking their talents, which is a new talent, not just using instruments, but using the ability to control instruments. We've seen people who are paralyzed or
Mm-hmm.
paraplegic have abilities to become, more integrated into their daily activities through the use and the power of AI. We're seeing medical pieces come together in ways that would have taken, a room full of residents discover, what remote disease something could be and create a treatment plan. So we are, and we're seeing people got answers faster. I know that at the city we're trying to implement Kobe, which is our digital assistant, and we're also implementing new technology to kind of pre-scan development applications so that you would know if your building permit's going to get issued or where you need to fix first before it gets humanized. So, there's ways to unlock efficiency, ways to kind of find obscure issues and fix them quickly. There's ways to make people have a more richer life. But at the same time, again, there's no moral police out there. We're starting to see AI labels being
Mm-hmm.
required for, adorable puppy videos, as an example. But yeah, we do definitely need to have a conversation with humanity on this is a new tool, but it's also a new curse. And how do we want to make sure that we're harnessing this new kind of like gift, right? Like humans will continue to evolve. We've come out of the Stone Ages into industrial revolutions, into technology revolutions, and we're kind of on our next chapter of that. And when I look back to my kind of medical professional experiences, we were always curious about what the next chapter of technology would look like, right? Like being in diagnostics, we were kind of thinking one day you'd swallow a pill and it would tell you everything about your body, and you would do this and it would do that, or you could get a body scan. I mean, I'm still waiting for the Jetsons where I can go through a conveyor belt and be fully washed and blow dried and
Oh
makeup.
yes,
So
that would be
that's
awesome.
that's what I would really like. If there's any technology people out there, could you please bring that Jetsons roller thing through so I can be ready faster in the morning? So I think we're gonna have to have a conversation as a humanity on how we want to make sure that we're both protecting our planet, but also unlocking the good that this new technology is able to bring to us.
That was such a robust and really a great answer, and the whole discussion that you shared there. Because I am very much a proponent for both sides, because there is a danger, just like the internet. But now AI is accelerating everything at such a pace
Yeah.
that it's hard for anyone to keep up. Even the experts, who run the companies, they don't know what
Right.
really the dangers or what's going to happen next. So it's a very, I think it's a place that we've never been before, quite,
Yeah.
because it's moving too fast. And I think governance is such a key player in this. And we often have this term human in the loop. I do not like that word, that term, because it's more like human is just the cog in this machine,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be human led. So I think that is key in humanity first, human first. And that's where we can really unlock all the AI for good, is what I also call it.
Yeah.
But yes, there is a lot of bad actors, and that's really unfortunate about the, because there's so much things with, even with women with pornography and all this, it can totally, destroy someone's reputation, or just the trauma as an addition to that, whether it's a leader going through that, or just a regular, person, in
Mm-hmm.
a relationship. That's very, very damaging. So I had mentioned I was at the International Canadian Council, and the whole
Yeah.
discussion was about governance. And also, the pushback, obviously there's pushback because as you know, I love the fact that you are being authentic and human first with your communications in your campaign. Now, I will defend the M dash because I love the M dash, and I've been writing with the M dash, okay, for the record, since, I don't know, 20 years, because it's always been my signature. But
I like
now,
dashes. It's just the giant
well, I
dash.
like the giant dash, except
I'm a
now
small dash girl.
I'm the big dash, but unfortunately now it's become the signature of AI writing. And so
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, I've got to take out, because to me it was always that pause for thinking, but and an emphasis on a thought. But now I have to reframe it. Okay, just take it out, even though I wrote it. But that's okay. I think it's really key for critical thinking too for our students. Like, I am really concerned about
Yes.
the generation that's coming up next right now. Are they going to have those critical thinking skills because everything is AI native? Do they have to think at all? That's the concern. And then also, sensitivity to just being human.
Yeah.
Because even now with social media, which AI is obviously with algorithms is feeding, young people certain things like tradwife or the manosphere or all of these, or, political belief systems and all levels. I think there's such a danger there, and there has to be governance, and the social media platforms in particular have to be responsible. The issue is, one of the biggest issues is in Canada, for example, I'm going to talk about data, but also we can't really easily enforce what's south of the border comes here. We can to some extent, but not completely. And that's where I'm not going to go too much into it, but data sovereignty and all of that. And then there's the repercussions. Obviously, we have to power that with clean energy. But if we own our own data and we have maybe our own AI models, that would be obviously the best solution, or collaborating with trusted partners that have the same values, like maybe like proponents of EU, which I'm not going to go too much into, but I think it's just so key that we have participatory, I'll call it governance. So they just did a series of, I guess, interviews or experiences with Gen Z, and a lot of them are anti-AI because they're worried about obviously their future, but also they want authenticity, and we have to listen to the stakeholders. It's not just Gen Z, but everyone, and I think that's really key. There's so much good, but there's also
Exactly. And I think that we're in a world that's starved for authenticity and genuine connections. And I think that's, again, when we bring this back through AI, which is kind of a blessing and a curse at the moment, we bring it back to what is leadership, right? And you want that genuine connection, you want that authentic leader, and that's what will win the day, right? We're seeing that with brands who are authentic brands. We're seeing that with leaders who are authentic and true. And part of that too is showing a little bit of vulnerability, right? That's the other sort of inflection point with AI, is that it's either perfect or you're imperfect. And so breaking that binary, columns allows us to kind of find our place where humanity lives, which is in the middle, right? We're a bit messy as humans.
Yes.
We're a bit messy as people. So we want to kind of make sure that, it's okay to not have a perfect newsletter that's AI generated. You're allowed to kind of work out your thoughts a little bit here and there. And that's the one that is, two things. One, I have two perspectives. So one, with the students, I almost wonder, maybe we need to have a new conversation around the education system, because if it's just regurgitation, then what's the danger of AI? But how are we going to teach our kids how to adapt to this new technology, right? And then the one that worries me most in one of the roles that I currently hold, which is on the police board, is that fraud, right? And the harm it's causing our seniors, right? So we've talked about Gen Z wanting more authenticity. We've talked about kind of the kids in school now coming through university, high school with like this huge disruptor to their education process, something they never had before. So basically going from analog to digital, you're going from digital to digital plus. And then it's the seniors who are getting phone calls from their grandkids that are from all the AI content harvesting off of social media, and then tying it back to, hi, Grandpa, I need $10,000. And in our community, we have seniors hollowing out bank accounts because of this level of sophisticated fraud. So that's outside of the, I'll just call it like the, we call it like internet child crimes. there's a whole other world there that is becoming more and more scary that can happen just from a photo, right? So I think this is a good time for humanity to kind of band together, and just like every revolution, we have a chance to kind of shape our outcome right now. And it's through that leadership that people are going to rise above and be inspirational and have those deep thoughts that they can share with people and they can galvanize behind them. That I think we'll see the next turn of kind of where we go as a people, the next chapter.
I can't agree more. Like, and the senior fraud that's always been there, but now it's scaled, right?
It's scaled.
Yes, and to such a degree that you might think it's your child or your grandchild calling you because it has their voice done
Right.
on 11 Labs or whatever they've used. Not,
And it's different
yeah,
than just your wallet stolen out your back pocket.
yes,
It's a level of anxiety and fear, and
yes,
it's terrible because it's not just that you've been robbed, you've also been completely manipulated,
yes.
which is harrowing, and then the feelings that come with that behind it too, right? So
That's a lot of trauma.
it is.
Yeah, so I think there's so much need for governance and control and education too. I've done a lot of pieces like taking out the jargon, but investor education for seniors and all of this. And a lot of that was before people just picking up the phone or asking to get into their passwords. But now it's at such a scale, and that's the thing that I bias too. So even like for say it's a single mom or someone of a different culture that's trying to get a mortgage, now sometimes AI creates its own bias almost, or someone does manipulate feed it, but now it's not just on a small scale, it's on a large scale, and then it scales and scales and scales. So unless someone identifies it, so it's so important to have audits, the governance factor.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we also have so much good, like as you said, for the medical, especially for the medical and healthcare, there's so much potential, and even people who are in business and entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I think, the balance is so important. And trust, I don't know, from your perspective, how do we balance that innovation and trust? Do you think it's through governance, or how do you think that
Well, I think
we
it's
can
first
evolve?
through conversation,
Yeah.
right? Like we're all figuring this out together.
Yes.
And again, we haven't identified who the AI police are. So you can use it for me, you can use it for medical, but you can't use it for memes. You can use it for this, but you can't use it for that. So we have a kind of like an unbridled technology or an unbridled shift in front of us right now. And we just need to kind of keep the conversation going around how do we do this? I mean, I was, a very small part of the conversation in Hamilton around no AI data centers because, again, that conversation hadn't been had with the people. And I think that was the biggest issue, was that, something was coming with no notice and no education, no information, no source of credible information. It was just this monster or boogeyman kind of getting dropped, and people were definitely without a voice. And when that happens, you get pushback, you get friction. And so I think that when we want to sort of look at what this next chapter will feel like, it's bringing those, you said it yourself, that collective voice forward. We got to start there before we move any more ahead, I'm sure.
Well, I can't agree more. So I'm going to, I guess, last question on AI, and then I'm going to move ahead with some more fun stuff, I suppose. So I don't know, I think AI is fun, but if AI gives us the opportunity to redesign one thing about how we live, work, or lead, what would you choose and why?
One thing about AI. Gosh.
I know it's a big question. It could be anything.
I know it could really be anything. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that one because we already touched on the health, right? Like that's the noble one.
That's
like
the
health
noble
is
one.
very noble, alleviate poverty, speed up housing permits. There's all those kinds of things. But I think it would just be, I don't know, more puppy memes.
I love that answer because it's so real. But
more cute animals doing cute things.
Well, sometimes we need stress relievers. I think there's so much to be said about that. It's such a big question. I know it's a Pandora's box, but
I like how it can help me with Excel now, right? So I don't need to memorize formulas. I just need to tell it what I want. It's helping you already with. I'm very concerned about so I'm just going to say a personal I'm starting to unsee the AI postcards and posters So I'm starting to almost not even be able to see them anymore because they
Yep.
all look so
They're
similar
the
with
same.
like something here, some scribbles there, some things over here with some icons and some like a banner over here. Like that that would be something I would like AI to like take a break from.
Yes.
More puppies, less posters. Um, but no, I would love it if like the stuff that we used to have to spend zillions of dollars on consultants for, like routing maps or total cost of something that has different touch points in different departments. Like I'd like to see how it can harness that or manage more like throughputs and things like that. I like that automation piece. Like I do have a genuine intrigue when the result is helping employees have a healthier workplace experience. That I would like to see. So when you see kind of the, you know, the AI watching all of the employees, and then they have kind of little tabs over their heads, and they monitor their steps, their walks. When I see that, and then I know you can run it through an AI logarithm and then come back out with, if we put another employee right here, this employee would reduce risks of slips by 25% because they don't have to walk in front of the ice maker anymore because this employee is supposed to be here, but they're serving these people 15% faster, which is improving customer service by 45%. When I see how that piece all works together, that makes me a little bit excited when you're able to harness large amounts of data that would otherwise be difficult to collate, and then see how you can translate that into an improvement on how people work in the workplace. That intrigues me about the next chapter for AI.
I love that answer because that will hopefully also improve quality of life for you.
Exactly. When it comes down to improving quality of life, that's certainly something I can get behind.
Well,
That when I see those videos, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to watch this.
yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to, we're just going to kind of look ahead, and then I have some fun kind of questions, I guess, a little rapid fire. um, so this is just looking ahead, I guess, more of a legacy sort of thing. And I know you haven't really, I don't always think about this either, but I'm starting to think about it more and more. When you imagine the next generation growing up 10 or 20 years from now, what kind of world do you hope we're leaving them, or the work that you have done? What kind of legacy do you think that, so yeah, like what kind of legacy do you think you're going to be leaving behind, or what would you like to leave behind?
I hope that we're leaving behind like a more caring world. I see this with my daughter. She's 13. The world has changed a lot in terms of like body positivity. Everybody's unique. Respect them for whatever they are. You know, we're starting to see those like cliques fall away, and you're not only a this, you're many different things, right? Like even if I, you know, make fun of the dogs and be like, oh, this dog's getting a little bit chubby, she'll be like, she's perfect. Don't say that. So, you know, we're starting to see that there's a lot more acceptance in the world of people as people. So I'm excited about that, and more we can do at this stage to leave more of that behind, like changing our words, changing our perspectives to be more in line and enforce the ideologies that they're starting to bring forward. They're a lot kinder. They're 20 years from now, we're going to see, I think, a new batch of kinder people.
I love that because kindness to me is the currency that we should be aiming for. And I think kindness is contagious. I used to say this during COVID. You know, COVID was very contagious, but kindness is contagious. So if you spread it, it'll come back to you as well.
Yeah, and I feel like they're having less to kind of prove because they're just sort of being their own being. And I think that's kind of a nice shift.
Yeah, I love that answer. So let's get into rapid fire, a little bit of fun. So no overthinking. It's just yes or like this word or this word. So just your first answer that comes to your mind.
Okay.
And they're pretty easy. They're fun. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Beach or mountains?
Oh, mountains for sure. Like with snow.
Ooh, do you ski?
Yes.
I do too. I haven't done it.
Not great, but yes.
I call myself a survivor skier. Like
greens.
Meaning
Greens. Love my greens.
Yes. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Oh, and you do well, you get up pretty
This
early.
is the first time. Today was the very first time. I didn't even see the full thing that I've ever seen a Burlington sunrise. I am embarrassed. I know.
No, I don't think that's embarrassing
This is
at
my
all.
first Burlington sunrise of my life.
That's actually one of my goals, is to get up and drive down to the beach and watch it. But now there's sunrise yoga. So I think I might take up on that. Summer or fall?
Summer.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
I think I knew that answer already from all the meme answers.
I like cats too for the cat voters.
Inclusivity, books or podcasts?
I'm still a book person.
I love
like
that.
Paper books.
Yeah, I think it's a great skill. Cook at home or dine out?
Cook at home.
Yeah, window seat or aisle seat?
I'm a middle seat.
You're a middle seat? Get out. Why?
I don't know. Because usually somebody more important than me is like on the window, like a kid.
Oh, but if you had to choose?
Okay, window.
Okay. And why window? Now I'm going to ask why.
Because I can put my head on the thing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the view, but mostly it's because I can put my head.
It's 'cause I can put my head on the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancake.
And road trip or fly?
Fly.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I always think those are fun, right?
Yeah, I love
and
it.
so where would you fly to if you could fly tomorrow? Anywhere?
Obviously the cold mountains.
Oh, wow. Have you skied in like Europe or Banff?
We did Big White with the kids this year for the first year. We left kind of Ontario skiing. But now the kids are just hooked on mountains.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful. Well, I did have to go to Alberta with like my sister was training, so I brought her girls to visit her for the weekend that she had off, and then brought them home. And so when I was with my nieces, we drove up to the mountains, and we were just mesmerized by the Rockies, mesmerized. And then when we went skiing with other family too, the kids just had the best time, and it just does something to fill up your soul, the mountains.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I love the ocean, I like scuba dive, but I also love the mountains and I ski. And my daughter did racing for quite some time, but Banff is one of my favorite places, but I haven't yet skied in the Alps or anything like that. I'm not sure if I'm ready, but hopefully that's a goal too. But so I'm going to just do some last signature kind of questions I usually ask. So advice to your younger self. If you could sit down, I'm going to say 15-year-old. I'm kind of, because that to me is like a time in a life with a young woman where she's trying to find herself. But with your 15-year-old self today, what advice would you give her?
Just keep doing you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I was just like nerdy, fine, normal book working at like making sub. Like I wouldn't do anything different. It just is what it is. Just do you.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer for so many, even at any age for that matter. Leadership in 3 words, or contributorship, is that what we called it? What if you had to describe what contributorship means in just 3 words, what would they be?
Like selfless, disciplined, because you have to build those relationships through touch points, and like aspirational. Like all you're trying to do is unlock the potential in other people. It's there. You just have to give them a way to let it out.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's so great. I'm going to use that now. Contributorship.
I know.
Love it.
Just put it into AI as like a new word, and we're just going to see how much it comes up.
Yeah, I would start using it. I'm going to start using it. I'll give you credit, of course. That's the term I think that your campaign could really. I think it's amazing. Women up. Since this show, I'm very much advocate for women being in leadership and on boards. But it's not just about that. Just in general, when you hear the phrase "women up," what 3 words come to mind?
Empowered. Togetherness, and like taking on challenges. Yeah.
I love that because that's really what it is. I just basically took something like man up, which has actually got a negative kind of connotation, because I would hear it a lot and I thought that's negative. Like it's pushing you to be something that you're really not. But women up is, I was like, I'm going to turn that phrase around and I'm going to make it in a positive, empowering sort of feeling. And it's amazing how people resonated with it, because I was wondering if they would get the man up thing and then it'd be put in a different context. But only men have said, oh, women up, that sounds like man up. But that's their own experience. So women are like, they feel like very emboldened by it. And
I feel like I have like maybe it's the mountains. I visualize women up as like taking your next step up. Like,
Yeah,
it has nothing to
exactly.
do with anybody else. It's just
Exactly.
you're taking your next step. Yeah.
Yeah, just taking the next step and rising, whether it's your own individual
Yeah.
goals, but collectively. Yeah. So and I remember even just thinking of the phrase, like the brand. I was like, should it be woman, like singular or plural? So I made it
Oh,
plural
yes.
because I do believe that the only way to rise, really technically, whether it's through contributorship,
Yes.
or you have to the only way you really do rise is with other people.
It's true.
Right?
It's 100% true.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for saying that. But I'm just going to leave with one final thought because I want to leave it about you. And if every listener remembered just one message from today's conversation, which I know that we covered so much,
Yep.
About leadership, service, creating positive impact, because that's what this show is about, what would you hope it would be?
You are enough.
Oh, that's magical. Thank you. Well, thank you, Lisa, for joining us on the Kristina Shea Show. I would love to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
And today's conversation was just, I don't know, we delved into so many topics and it was just very refreshing too and authentic. And I just want to say thank you again. And
thank you for having me. This is great.
Yes.
Thanks for all you're doing.
And I wish you much success and women up.
Women up. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, see you next time. The Kristina Shea Show, AI, Ambition, and Impact. If this sparked something in you, don't ignore it. The future isn't something we wait for. It's something we step into. Thank you for being here, for being part of the conversation, and for choosing to lead in what comes next. This is the Kristina Shea Show, AI meets ambition and impact, powered by Women Up. I'll see you next time.